Here is an example of how you do an abstract. We'll be doing 3 of these. The first 2 will be relatively short. The third one includes what's called an impact analysis, and I'll do an online recording on that at a later time. First of all, you need the case. This one is Neer v. Minnesota. The citation, 283 U.S. 697, and the year it was decided. Then you need who wrote the majority opinion. Now, the majority basically includes all those who agree with, in this case, Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes, and the decision was 5-4. Now, justices can agree with the majority opinion. They can also write concurrences, which allow the justices to put in their kind of 2 cents worth, and they can write dissents on why they disagree with the majority view. Then you need to establish the facts. In this case, it involved a rather outrageous newspaper in Minneapolis, and it violated a Minnesota state statute. And so here you need to keep track of, it was in state court, then it went to the state Supreme Court, and then now it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, where the justices have granted what's called certiorari, or cert, to hear the cases. The U.S. Supreme Court does not hear every case that comes before it. So 4 justices out of the 9 have to grant cert in order to take up a case. After you establish the facts, you state very simply what's the issue, okay? Does the state statute here infringe on the liberties of the First Amendment? And the holding here is yes. It's either yes, no, and that's it. Now you get into the rationale from the majority opinion that Chief Justice Hughes wrote. And here, please reintroduce the author of the opinion. Now, this one was not an easy one, but there are some that are much more complicated. So what he did is he established what exactly the court had to determine. Was it disturbing the peace? Was it attacking public officers of corruption? Did that allow for, in this case, what is called prior restraint, which means stopping the publication of the newspaper? Should the newspaper have to prove the truth of the charges that they made before the newspaper printed them? And also here is this essentially censorship if the court decides to stop publication. So then it goes into the rationale further in the majority decision here. And Justice Hughes also said, okay, in this case, we do in fact find that this is prior restraint. We find that the law is unconstitutional. But the justice goes on to say that there can be exceptions where prior restraint can be used. When national security was involved in time of war, where there are issues of decency, what is called obscenity and indecency, and also where public order was endangered by incitement to violence. And so here you have why the court decided the way that it did, and also some of the other elements to the case. Now, in this case, you have dissents, you have no concurrences. If you do have concurrences, you have to state those, who was involved. And here we have, in the dissents, Justice Butler, joined by Justice Devanter, McReynolds, and Sutherland. And essentially, they briefly say that the existing libel laws are inadequate to suppress this kind of publication, and so therefore they think that the publication was so bad that it in fact should have been stopped. So this is how you do an abstract. You need to read the majority opinion, the concurrences, and the dissents, and follow this format very closely. And that's how you do one of these 4 for the class when it comes to an abstract. So thanks very much, and We'll see you online.